Welcome to the Self-Determination Program SDP video. This program is available statewide beginning July 1st, 2021. It is a voluntary program for all eligible regional center consumers. What is self-determination? Self-determination was developed as a voluntary alternative to the traditional way of delivering regional center services that give individuals more freedom and control over how their services are delivered and who provides them with support. Self-determination gives you a choice in all areas of your life, including where you want to live, how you will spend your time each day, and who you will spend your time with. It's about having hopes and dreams for the future and developing the goals to go after them. It's about being in control, making your own decisions, and spending money your way. The statewide self-determination program adheres to the following principles to ensure that those who participate have freedom. You plan your own life and make your own decisions, just as people without disabilities can do. Authority. You decide how the money is spent for your services and support. Support. You choose the people and supports that will help you live, work, and be an important part of your community. Responsibility. To make decisions about how you will use public money and accept being a valuable role in the community. Confirmation. You are the most important person when making plans for your life. You are the one who makes decisions about your services. Self-determination means nothing about me without me. Self-determination versus traditional method. Self-determination provides the flexibility to choose your services, supports, and providers. In the self-determination program, you can buy different services from almost anyone in your community, not just those through the regional center. In the traditional program, your regional center service coordinator is the person who helps you find the services you need, and these services are limited to the providers approved by the regional center. In self-determination, you can decide who you want to help you, such as your family, friends, or independent facilitator. You will be given a budget and choose which services and supports to meet your goals. Self-determination has 4 important elements. 1. You and your collaborators. 2. A robust person-centered plan. 3. The independent facilitator service. 4. And 4th, the finance management service. We will talk about these elements during this video. This timeline will help you to identify the important phases of self-determination. 1. Firstly, there is orientation, which is provided by all the regional centers and the State Council on Developmental Services. 2. Next, you create a person-centered plan, which is the foundation for a good self-determination program. 3. Next, you choose a finance management services company. This is a crucial step as they are responsible for managing your budget. 4. You will be given an individual budget, which is the money you have to spend. 5. Next, you will create the spending plan, outlining how you will spend the budget. 6. Next, you will generate a new individual program plan based on the person-centered plan and your budget. 7. Finally, the services should start. The self-determination orientation session is an introductory overview of the self-determination program. After attending an informational meeting, the people interested in the program can add their names to the list or talk to the services coordinator to start the self-determination process. Let's start learning about person-centered plan. What is person-centered planning? Person-centered planning is concerned with the person's future and achieving their goals. The process should be driven by the individual and reflect what is important to and how best to support that person. Person-centered planning can include other people, such as family or friends, only if the person chooses to include them in the process. The individual with a disability, the parent or caregiver, decides through person-centered planning what the participant wants and needs, and what services and supports will help them reach their goals. This information will be used to create their IPP individual program plan with their regional center. Goal of PCP. For participants or those who want to participate in the Self-Determination Program, SDP, the individual program plan, IPP, must be developed using a person-centered planning process. Person-centered planning or person-centered training is the base for the individual program plan, IPP, and individualized educational plan, IEP. The PCP changes the mentality of the people around the individual. It maintains dignity and respect for the person. It empowers the person to make decisions so that they have a better quality of life. It is about finding the balance between what is important to the person and how to best support them. And, most importantly, the person is in control of his/her life. Planning tools. Let's identify the person-centered tool that will help you to create a great self-determination independent program plan. You start by looking at what is important for the person and how to support the person better. Next, you create a one-page profile so that providers will know how to support the individual. You look at what is working and what is not working. You use this information to develop outcomes and actions to make sure the change happens. You identify the person's circle of support. This is the group of people that forms a community around the person. You look at the relationship between the person with a disability and the providers. This is called support personnel compatibility, and you make sure that the participant has a positive reputation. Let's continue learning about the independent facilitator. Who is an independent facilitator? An independent facilitator is a qualified person who will help and guide you through the person-centered plan and self-determination process. The individual or representative will choose them. An independent facilitator is not required to have a certification or license. However, an independent facilitator is required to receive training in the principles of self-determination, the person-centered planning process, and other responsibilities consistent with service coordination for consumers' individual program plans. If a participant chooses to hire an independent facilitator, the cost of this service is negotiated between the independent facilitator and the participant and is paid from the participant's individual budget. Participants may choose to hire one or more independent facilitators. Who can be a facilitator? This screen shows you who can be an independent unpaid facilitator, such as you. You will not be paid to play that role. If you think you need help with the whole process, then you can hire someone you trust. Sometimes people forget that to fulfill this role, they must be qualified to do so. Role of the facilitator. The independent facilitator can assist the participant in making informed decisions about services, individual budgeting, locating, accessing, and coordinating services and supports consistent with the participant's IPP. He or she is available to help identify needs, develop options to meet those needs, lead, participate, or advocate on behalf of the participant in the person-centered planning process and the development of the IPP, and obtain identified services and support. Important. The independent facilitator is chosen and directed by the participant. The independent facilitator must be trained in the principles of self-determination and the person-centered planning process. The participants who do not wish to work with an independent facilitator may have their regional center service coordinators fulfill the role. Financial management services. If you thought that you will manage your budget and finances, you are wrong. These services will be managed by the financial management services of your choice. What are financial management services? The participant is required to use the services of an FMS provider of their choice. The FMS provider must contract with the participant's regional center to provide this service, who can be a financial manager, any entity or person except a family member, legal guardian, or another legally responsible person chosen by the participant who meets the required qualifications, may be a provider of financial management services. What is a financial management service provider? A financial management services, or FMS provider, is key in supporting people who choose to get their regional center services through the Self-Determination Program. Everyone in the Self-Determination Program must use a financial management service provider to help manage the individual budget and pay for services, including paying employees, assist with hiring employees, make sure providers are qualified to deliver services, and help providers get a criminal background check if needed. Why is the financial management service required? State law requires that participants in the Self-Determination Program use a financial management service or FMS. An FMS provides support in many ways, including, but not limited to, paying service providers, ensuring providers are qualified, ensuring all employer-related labor and tax laws are followed, and reporting to the participant and regional center to help inform the budget. The FMS does not control the budget. The FMS supports participants in paying for the services they choose. Who pays the cost of my FMS or financial management provider? The costs for FMS services are negotiated between the participant and the FMS provider, but may not exceed the maximum rates posted on the Department of Developmental Services, effective July 1, 2022. The cost of the FMS provider will be paid by the regional center, outside of the participant's individual budget. In implementing this change, regional centers should do the following: authorize the cost of the FMS provider separate from the individual budget and spending plan. Work with SDP participants to explore needed adjustments to their spending plan to reflect where the repurposed FMS fees may be used. Types of financial management. There are 3 different models of financial management services. Bill payer. A participant may choose this model of FMS provider when goods or services are purchased from a business. Co-employer. A participant may choose this model if they want to share some of the employer roles and responsibilities within FMS. Sole employer. A participant may choose this model if they want to be the direct employer of those providing services. The range of maximum fees within each model depends on the number of services funded by your individual budget as part of your individual program plan, IPP. For information on how the number of services financed affects the maximum rate for each model, individual budget. Now let's learn about how the individual budget is created. First, what is an individual budget? An individual budget is the amount of money a self-determination program participant has available to purchase needed services and support. How is the amount of the individual budget determined? The individual budget is determined by the individual program planning team based on the amount of purchase of service funds used by the individual in the last 12 months. This amount may be adjusted up or down if the individual program planning team determines that the individual's needs, circumstances, or resources have changed. Additionally, the individual program planning team may adjust the budget to support any prior needs or resources not addressed in the individual program plan. The regional center certifies the expenditures used to calculate the individual budget amount, including any adjustments that would have occurred regardless of the individual's participation in the SDP. Now that we have the individual budget ready, what is a spending plan? A spending plan is the amount of money a self-determination program participant has available to purchase needed services and support. The spending plan identifies the services and items the participant needs to implement their IPP or independent program plan. The plan also includes the cost of each service or item that will be purchased with budget funds. The amount of the spending plan cannot exceed the funds in the individual budget and must be attached to the participant's IPP. The spending plan must identify the cost of each service, activity, or item that will be purchased with the self-determination program budget. What is the difference between the individual budget and the spending plan? The individual budget is the amount of money a self-determination program participant has available to purchase needed services and supports. The spending plan is how that money will be used to purchase services and supports. How does a new regional client or someone that hasn't used the services build the budget? For participants who are either newly eligible for regional center services or who do not have 12 months of regional center purchases, the individual budget amount is calculated based on the following. As required, the individual program plan team identifies the services and supports needed by the participant. The regional center calculates the annual cost of providing the needed services and supports. This is done by using the average cost paid for each of the identified services and supports and how often the individual program plan team determines each service or support is needed. The average cost may be adjusted if the regional center determines the participant has unique needs that result in a higher or lower cost. Unique needs may include but are not limited to language preference, support for behavioral medical needs, and location of available services. The regional center certifies the individual budget amount would have been expended regardless of the individual's participation in the self-determination program. Let's check on the service coordinator's responsibilities and what the IPP contains in the self-determination program. The role of your service coordinator in self-determination is as follows. Help develop your person-centered individual program plan. Certify the amount of your individual budget. They will ensure that you have access to the generic resources available to you. They will help you understand what types of services you are eligible for. They will help you determine how to be healthy, safe, and live your full potential at home and in the community. They will ensure you meet your individual program plan goals based on your feedback and reports from the service provider. They will ensure that the funds are spent in accordance with the individual program plan, self-determination, and your individual program plan or IPP. An individual program plan is required in the self-determination program. This must reflect the goals and objectives that must be created based on the person-centered plan. It must include all the services approved, as well as the financial management service company you choose. and must have the annual budget reviewed. As with traditional services, self-determination participants can appeal through the fair hearing process if the individual doesn't agree with the IPP and services. What services are funded under self-determination? The list of services is very long. For more information about the services, visit www.des.org and search for the Self-Determination page. Self-Determination Program Services. This is only an example of services available through SDP. The client can access the same services available in the traditional method. In addition, under the Self-Determination Program, a participant may have access to social and recreational services, including swimming, art classes, camp, equestrian therapy, etc. Do you know what unmet needs are? This is really important information. What is an unmet need? It is when services in the participant's individual program plan (IPP) were not used, even though they were needed. There were needs not addressed in the participant's prior individual program plan (IPP). There was a change in circumstances in the participant's life, and services were not used when life has changed and so have different needs. Examples of this are: the provider didn't have a staff person who spoke to a participant's preferred language, so they were unable to use that service. The provider was far from the participant's home, so it made it difficult to use that service. The participant was waiting for a provider to have an open spot in their program. The participant couldn't find a respite provider who could work the needed hours. Now that I have learned about self-determination, if I am interested in applying, what should I do? Here are some steps to start the process. 1. Participate at the Self-Determination Program Orientation with your regional center. 2. Start the initial planification. Learn about person-centered planning and find an independent facilitator. Find someone that you have a good connection with and who has experience doing self-determination. This is your foundation to have a good plan. 3. Get ready for financial management by investigating more about the FMS process. Have a list of FMS providers ready so you can interview them and choose the one you like. Here are some ideas on how to enroll on SDP. 1. The first step will be attending an initial SDP orientation. The department contracts with the State Council on Developmental Disabilities (SCDD) to provide self-determination program orientation. The department plans to offer orientation through one or more statewide entities in the future. You also may attend an orientation offered by your regional center. 2. Contact your regional center to find out when and where informational meetings are scheduled in your community. 3. You can also ask your service coordinator to enroll you in the program. She can help you to start the process and provide some guidance. Here are some useful resources that you can access online. The Department of Developmental Services website DDS, State Council on Developmental Disabilities (SCDD), and the Department Frequently Asked Questions. Thank you for having watched this video. We hope it was helpful. For more information about self-determination program, call us at 408-727-5775. This video was possible thanks to the support of DDS Department of Developmental Services.